Coming up on Monday, folks, expect an announcement early Monday afternoon for another night game. What night game are you talking about, James? Well, it's the one we've been talking about for several weeks now. All signs have pointed to, talked to a couple people today, text them, just trying to get an understanding, making sure I'm not giving you guys false information, is that Michigan State, despite the Spartans losing 4 straight and favored to lose on Saturday versus Wisconsin, that Michigan State on the 29th, well, Halloween weekend Saturday, will be a night game on ABC, so keep an eye out for that announcement on Monday. We are going to dive into Michigan, Penn State, some rumors on the game plan that you're going to want to see, all coming up on the Michigan Football Report by Chat Sports right now. We are talking some Michigan football news here on the show. It is Thursday, October 13th. Less than 48 hours to Michigan faces its first ranked opponent of the season, a top 10 matchup, number 5 Michigan versus number 10 Penn State. Coming up next, we are going to talk about Michigan's game plan versus Penn State, and that is next after we go through a little bit of Thursday afternoon news / housekeeping, things that you guys just need to know about to be an informed Michigan football fan. First up, Pom-Poms at the Stadium. Michigan, they do a lot of things that are whatever, kind of not the best, but I do think they've gotten a lot of the Maize Outs over the years correctly, and there was a good period there, kind of late 2000s, early 2010s, where they did the Maize Outs but didn't do anything special for them, like give away Pom-Poms. I think they broke out the Pom-Poms in 97 against Ohio State for the first time, at least that I can remember, and they did last year against Ohio State and, of course, Washington, bringing them back. So if you're going to the game on Saturday, make sure when you walk in the stadium, there will be boxes of them everywhere, from what I've been told. Don't know for sure yet. I couldn't get a straight answer. In the past, they've actually set the Pom-Poms on the individual seats as well, but make sure you get yourself one. Make sure you get yourself 2. Be kind of shaking those bad boys all day long. If you're going to the game, get yourself a Maize Pom-Pom. Wear a damn Maize shirt to the game. Don't show up wearing blue or else. Folks, we've done this for the last year and a half. It has worked every single time except for the one time it didn't work. You know who you are. Like the video, and let's set out good vibes against Penn State on Saturday. If you don't like the video, you're jinxing it. It's all your fault if Michigan loses. I've got a list from the CIA of who watched the video, also a list from our analytics who liked the video. I'm going to compare them. If I don't see it, if I see your name on it, if they lose, just don't let it happen, okay? I'm coming for you if it does. Let's talk some defensive strategy against Penn State. Had the opportunity to, dive into this with some people who have some information regarding what Michigan's going to do. I tapped Harbaugh's phone again, let's just say that. Michigan coaches feel they need to wear down the Penn State's offensive line in order to win. All right, that's maybe not that surprising. And some of this might be like, well, no duh, Yoder, that's what they always do. Okay, cool, whatever. But Michigan has not faced a rushing attack like what Penn State has with their 2 true freshman running backs yet. And so Michigan's really been working up to this the last 2 or 3 weeks in particular, of playing 7, 8, 9, as many as 10 or more guys on the defensive line. What you're going to see, though, it's a little different, is they're not going to wait to the second half to rotate these guys in. You might see plays where Penn State, if there's either an incompletion or maybe a guy goes out of bounds, there's a stoppage of play, Michigan could rotate in as many as 4 or 5 offensive line, like 3 go out, 4 come in, 2 go out, 4 come in, kind of things, something like that, and expect much more of 3 or 4 interior defensive lines, right? Chris Jenkins, Mozzie Smith, Mason Graham, and others, the big boys, defensive tackles, 5 techniques, etc., on the line, and maybe only one guy coming in from the outside, like Mike Morris standing up or, in that outside defensive end position. So Michigan is going to rotate as many guys as they can to wear this Penn State offensive line out. By the time the end of the third quarter into the fourth comes, the expectation is that Penn State will play the same 5 offensive line, and they will be gassed, where Michigan will be bringing in guys who have only played 10, 12 snaps so far, coming firing off the line, and will be able to wreak havoc on the quarterback, like you saw the last couple weeks, Iowa and Indiana. Michigan is now back to favored by 7 points in this game. Over-under is 50.5. Now, the interesting part, folks, is the money is still coming in a little bit on Penn State, right? I think it was something like 58% of the bets and 66% of the total money bet so far across all sportsbooks has come in on the Nittany Lions. I'm going to be putting some money on this game. I'm betting Michigan, baby. I think Jim Harbaugh's got the recipe for James Franklin, that scrub, and I'm doing it with our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Go to chatsports.com/GoBlue. Use that promo code GoBlue, no spaces, and get a 125% deposit bonus. I've been betting on football for, like 17, 18 years now at this point, folks, and I've never enjoyed betting at a place like BetUS, who always has odds up first thing on Sunday for college football games, has halftime odds, has in-game odds, and has all kinds of player props. You want to bet on how many yards Blake Corum, J.J. McCarthy will get, etc., over under, so you can do that with BetUS. Those lines, the player props, usually come out about 3 or 4 hours before the game that morning on Saturday. So go to BetUS, chatsports.com/GoBlue, use that promo code GoBlue, get 125% of your first deposit as a bonus in your account to bet on. It's a great deal. Go use BetUS, chatsports.com/GoBlue. There's a big-name quarterback in town. He's going to be in town at least by tomorrow. We'll be heading to the game on Saturday. It is Isaac Wilson. Isaac Wilson, he kind of looks familiar. He sounds familiar. Well, it's the younger brother of Zach Wilson, who his other twin brother, Sam Brown, a producer at Chat Sports, producing this video. Also, happy birthday, Sam. Give me a happy birthday, Sam, today's producer, down in the comments. His birthday is today, and he looks kind of like Zach Wilson in some ways. Why is this happening? Why is Michigan, having another quarterback visit that you may not have really paid attention to right now? Is they've really gone since C.J. Carr and Dante Moore, 24, 23 class, have committed elsewhere, Notre Dame, Oregon. Is Michigan's gone all in on Jaden Davis, and they've had him on campus 3 times really in the last 3-4 months. He hasn't committed yet. There was some expectation he might commit for the Hawaii game. It didn't happen. Okay, he's visiting Clemson, I believe. He's visiting Georgia for sure, Davis is. So Michigan is widening their net a little bit to make sure that if Davis decides to go elsewhere, that they're holding the bag there, really not having a high-level quarterback in 22. No offense to those players, 2 commits last year, 2 recruits. But they might miss out on a quarterback at all in 23. They need a big-time player in 24. That's where Isaac Wilson out of Utah, Zach Wilson's younger brother, comes in. The expectation is that Michigan will offer him sometime, most likely either Saturday night or Sunday morning, when Jim Harbaugh and the offensive staff gets a chance to meet with him. My take is this, all right? Zach Wilson's brother, whether it's on this trip or when he's playing for Michigan, if he decides to commit to Michigan and being a part of this 24 class, no shenanigans with the moms, okay? If you paid attention at all the last month and a half, Zach Wilson, big-time scandal. He hooked up with one of his mom's friends. Isn't that the story, Sam? One of his mom's friends. Huge scandal. There's all kinds of funny things out there. If you haven't paid attention to it, you need to get a little bit out there more on the funny side of the internet. And Michigan just can't have any more mom-related scandals. Thanks, Josh Gaddis. Thanks, Texas running back number 0 or 1. What? Yeah. What's his number, though? 0. Yeah, don't say his name. We can't say his name. We're not throwing him out there. But, hey, thanks, guys, for ruining it for all of us. Zach Wilson, cool thing, but don't have your brother come on and follow in your lead. Maybe as a quarterback, but not as a MILF hunter. All right, we are going to dive into Michigan's game plan versus Penn State. I just want to bet. Somebody bet me I wouldn't say MILF hunter twice on today's video. Got some inside information. Really going to dive down into where I think Michigan is going to attack this Penn State team and where they have advantages and some disadvantages. But before we do, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. We're creeping up on 22,000 subscribers. I told you to give a couple T-shirts away once we hit 22,000. We're just over 200 away. Fastest post-game show in America will come from me on Saturday. All right, let's take a look at the little new graphic for this show, right? I'm going to take a look at Penn State and Michigan. If you see on the screen there, it's Penn State's pass-o, Michigan's pass-o versus their corresponding opponent on the defensive side, and then coaching, which team has an advantage and where. First up, Penn State's pass offense versus Michigan's pass defense. I'm giving the advantage to Michigan, all right? The Penn State offense is in passing yards per game is now 60th in the country, okay? Michigan's pass defense is 11th in the country. And I think there's a couple things that play into this factor why I give Michigan the advantage here. Number one, Jamon Green has been great this year, right? Unexpected, awesome 5th year for him. Mike Sanderson has been great. Michigan's pass rush has been among the best in the country. Now, we'll see what it looks like against a team like Penn State this week. But Sean Clifford is still the quarterback for Penn State, and is as long as that's happening, unless they come out with some amazing wide receivers like they had last year, right? And whatever his name was, Dotson, and he still didn't really do anything against Michigan. Michigan's going to have the advantage in this situation under any circumstance that you can imagine, and as such, Michigan has the advantage on pass-o versus Penn State's pass-o versus their pass defense. How about the Penn State rush offense versus Michigan's rush defense? Well, I'm going advantage even on this one, okay? It's not necessarily one that I could find a specific advantage on either side of the ball, right? Penn State's 33rd in the country right now in rushing yards per game, and Michigan's defense is 7th in the country on defense in rushing yards per game. But what Penn State has that Michigan hasn't faced yet is an onslaught of backs. They've got a major heavy hitter running back, true freshman 5-star, that can go 50, can go 60. He's gone 70 yards. You saw on the show yesterday, 5 of his carries have gone for like 269 yards, 265 yards, whatever it was this season. So if they hit the home run ball, they can potentially beat this Michigan team. What Michigan needs to do is limit them. The key I'm focusing on here, folks, is Michigan's linebackers, okay? They've had decent years, right? Mike Barrett's had decent, but he had a couple bad plays last week. Junior Colson, he's not been as good when you watch the tape a second and third time as we would have expected as a sophomore. Still missing Nikhai Hill-Green, and there's really been no backups. Jimmy whatever his name is, Rolster, etc. You guys know who I'm talking about. The true freshman's getting in there. So Michigan's linebackers need to stay home. They need to focus on their assignments and not, play hero ball like we saw a few times last week against Indiana. How about the Michigan pass offense versus the Penn State pass defense? Well, this is one where the advantage might surprise you because I'm giving it to Penn State. What, James? That's crazy. J.J. McCarthy's going to throw all over these guys. Penn State's passing defense right now is 102nd in the country, right? They're giving up crazy numbers right now. They're giving up 260 yards per game. But most of those plays, most of them come when the other team is down 2-3 scores. They go to pass-heavy play at the end of the game. The reason I give the advantage to Penn State is this stat here. James Franklin has enough talent. He's not going to get caught off guard by J.J. McCarthy basically going underneath to Ronnie Bell or Luke Schoonmaker on nearly every single pass. McCarthy has completed 86% of his passes under 10 yards this year, folks. Only 50% of his passes have been completed when he goes over 10 yards from the line of scrimmage. That is a wild stat, right? So he has dumped down JJ. Just kind of look for the short guy. Go to the second read of the guy coming across the middle. When he's got to go just 10 yards, only 57% of his passes. And until that improves, I think Michigan will be at a disadvantage against any team they face with a competent secondary. Coming off a 304-yard passing performance, his best as a Michigan starter or Michigan career is only 300-yard game. I'll ask you guys the question, how many passing yards will J.J. McCarthy have against Penn State? I think I may have actually predicted this earlier in the week. I forget what I said. I was going to go for 211 is my guess here. I bet Michigan, will have the opportunity, but I think they'll end up probably not passing as much or as deep as maybe we're going to talk about here in a second. I'm saying he's going to go something like 16 of 22 for, let's say, 211 yards, something like that. 211 yards, we'll call that the number. Comment down below. Let me know what you think, how many passing yards JJ has on Saturday. The Michigan rushing offense versus the Penn State rushing defense. Well, I clearly give the advantage to Michigan here because they are 20th in the country on offense, against as a running offense. But Penn State is actually 5th in the country against rush, for rush D. But I think that is a slanted stat, right? What's happened is, much like Michigan in a lot of ways, is the other team has gotten down by 2 or 3 scores in most of Penn State's game, and the opponent has abandoned the run. So there's not a ton of yards. If you look at the disparity of what Penn State's defense given up rushing yards in the first half or second half, it's wildly slanted towards the first half because a lot of times the opponents are just passing 70-80% of the time in the second half. So for that reason, on a deeper dive, I'm giving the advantage to Michigan. Their rushing offense with Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards a little bit, will have the advantage on Penn State's run defense. How about coaching? Who we give the advantage to on coaching? Come on, this is an easy one. It's Jim Harbaugh, right? We know that James Franklin's got a couple wins over Harbaugh, 2020 COVID year, 2017, even 2019. So he's got 3 wins over Jim Harbaugh, which is kind of crazy to think about in some ways. But I think overall, if you look at the total body of work, that Penn State and James Franklin, they have the ability to reach the heights that Michigan has reached, right? Win the Big Ten last year, make the College Football Playoff. Michigan's gone in under Jim Harbaugh to the final weekend of the year with 1 loss or less in 2016, 2018, 2021. Penn State, as to my knowledge, they've never done that in the James Franklin era. So I will give the advantage to Jim Harbaugh in this game. Here's the game plan on offense from what we have gotten from tapping Jim Harbaugh's phone line. That's just a joke, but we've got some inside information. Is Michigan plans to reintroduce the screen pass that's really disappeared from their offense as of late. Expect Donovan Edwards to be much more involved this week than you've seen him. Really, outside of 1 or 2 games, he got 4 catches in the Iowa game, but hasn't been as dynamic of a player through 6 games as we expected. Michigan's going to go heavy on the run plays, so don't get excited. Don't freak out if those first couple drives where Michigan's running the ball 2 out of every 3 or 3 of every 4 plays is they're going to go heavy run and short passes. What they're trying to do with these screen passes, runs, short passes, is bring those safeties up, have those linebackers cheat on the runs, maybe cheat, there's a screen pass coming. But when they do, Michigan will figure it out at some point, and they will then start to go deep when they are not expected to, right? You'll see Penn State creep up. Michigan will run a little screen pass here or there. Michigan will run left. They'll run right. They'll keep coming over the middle. And then that safety will come up, and Penn State will put those safeties in the box. Michigan will start going deep. Toss it on screen if you can, Sam. And they'll get a touchdown as long as J.J. McCarthy can put the ball where it needs to go in the hands of the wide receiver. So we may not see it in the first half. Michigan has been a much better second half team in the Big Ten so far this year, Iowa and Indiana and Maryland. But, I guess Maryland, maybe not as good, but definitely against Iowa, definitely against Indiana. And J.J. McCarthy has been working on the deep ball all week, and this is the focus, is to lull Penn State in for the first 4 or 5 drives of the game, hit them over the top with a touchdown. Roman Wilson, Andrew Anthony, hell, maybe even Donovan Edwards splitting out. We saw that against Hawaii. We'll see who gets the fruit of J.J. McCarthy's long bomb labor if Michigan sticks to the game plan that they've been working on apparently all week long. Let's predict the score, folks. Michigan, Penn State coming up on Saturday. I can't wait for this game. I don't like Penn State very much. I never really have. We've got a couple Penn State guys in the office here. There's this guy on Twitter, Chugging Jimmy, who's a complete alcoholic. No offense, Jimmy, if you're watching. But he's been talking some smack here and there. He's a Penn State fan. I want Michigan to beat Penn State. Very much so. I'm going to make my score prediction here. I am going to go Michigan 31, Penn State 21 is my prediction. Make yours down in the comments. We'll be back tomorrow with some more inside info. Right off the top of the show, we're going to kind of tell you what to expect as Michigan's kind of secret weapon for this game coming up on Saturday. Big noon kickoff for the 4th week in a row. So I see you tomorrow, folks. Go Blue.